What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight, a lot has transpired, including an event this morning. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Across the world, there are things going on that would baffle the average person's brain. We're going to talk about all of it and more just after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Sweet love, I hope it goes to the very top, to the very tippy top. Oh, yo, you already know.
All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to talk about in a short amount of time. So as always, you can follow over on marfooglenews.com. In fact, you can sign up for our own notifications. If you're not getting notifications or you're getting them much later, like 3 days later, make sure to sign up for ours through Chrome at marfooglenews.com. Now, on top of this, you can also follow along our whole bibliography of every single source, whether it be a tweet, a video, a picture, an article, a document. It's all going to be over there on our website. So when you go over there, it's going to be very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You will look for New York in 2029, 8 years left, and then you will click that. Once you click that, it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video, picture that we have posted. That way you know exactly where we are getting our sources from, and you also have an additional amount of information there. Also, if we don't have time to say cover an article all the way through, you can go and finish it. There is also a yellow bar. Once you hit that, that is our web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV, the stuff that is too far to one direction for us to cover without staying neutral. And then, of course, all of the stuff that is probably in a graphic nature, that always goes down there. Now, when you go down there, you'll see there is an entire other show down there, so make sure to check it out. And then if you do feel like prepping yourself up, if you want to go through us, if you're already planning on getting prep supplies, there is My Patriot Supply on the right, EMP shield, energy, solar generators, all sorts of stuff. All those boxes on the right, those are all affiliate links, which essentially means that you are going to get in most cases, a discount and help the channel at the same time. They send us commission whenever you go and purchase something. That way you are supporting our independent group here, and you are getting a discount. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we'll get right into it. We have a ton to cover. We also have a special guest. Tonight is a call-in show, so if you want to call in, the number is 2244-00-MARF. Again, that's 2244-00-MARF. Again, 2244-00-6273. That number is going to be on the black bar down below. If you are a first-time caller, you are heavily encouraged to call in. Again, we are going to have one special guest and then a few lines open, so get in early. That guest is going to talk about the solar activity. We're going to have, of course, wages on. There is even more activity going on with the sun, and it basically has not stopped since we have officially gotten into this solar cycle 25. Why that matters is because it is getting it's getting extreme. So at this point, if people aren't waking up to the fact that the sun is now incredibly active, then they need to be. And this should be shared out with friends and family, especially these episodes with special guests like this, because it will be an eye-opener and we have actual data and info to show you, so that way you can share it out with your friends and family. Irish Rebel, thank you, says president of UKR making the talk show circuit, including speech at the Grammys. Well, country under siege. Yeah, there's a lot of baffling things out there, and it's pretty incredible as far as what is happening there. Irish Rebel, thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting Independent. I appreciate you, and thank you so much. Bible Talk 777, thank you for being the last one out last night with along with Stephen McMahon. So Irish Rebel, we have so much to cover. That I believe was just out of left field for me. And then we have NASA spots record-breakingly huge comet headed towards us. It says that NASA has spotted a record-breakingly large comet headed towards Earth. Its icy nucleus is bigger than any ever seen, measuring at about 80 miles across and 50 times bigger than the heart of most known comets. It is also thought to have a mass of about 500 trillion tons, 100,000 times more massive than the typical comet found closer to the sun. And the object, known as C-2014 UN 271, or Bernard-Delly-Bernstein, is headed in this direction, quickly traveling at about 22,000 miles per hour. It is moving from the edge of the solar system towards its center. However, we should be entirely safe. The comet will not get closer than 1 billion miles from the sun, further away even than the planet Saturn, and that it will not happen until 2031. The object has been known about since November of 2010, at which point it was 3 billion miles away from the sun, or the distance to Neptune. Since then, researchers have been looking to understand more about it using telescopes both in space and on Earth. As part of that research, scientists used NASA's Never Straight Answers Hubble telescope to estimate the size of the comet and revealed its huge size. The researchers had then thought that the comet must be at least reasonably large given how active it is and even at such a long distance from the sun. But the new data came from 5 photos taken earlier this year by Hubble. It says, however, measuring the size is not as simple as taking those images. Scientists must distinguish the solid nucleus at the middle from the large dusty coma that wraps around it, and it is too far away for the images to be clear enough to tell the difference. Instead, scientists looked at the bright dot of light that marked the nucleus at the heart of the comet. They then made a computer model of the coma that would surround it and adjusted it in line with the images. So whether you believe NASA or not, what they are telling us through these very main sources is that there is something essentially heading our way. Now, there have been things in the past, and I'm going to bring up something that is an older story and for a purpose. If you remember, in fact, let me pull this up here. Apophis, the asteroid that we thought might hit us. It says on Friday, April 13th, on Friday the 13th, literally, on 2029, Earth will experience a dramatic close encounter with the asteroid 9992, which, by the way, is 666 upside down, 42, which is another 6, Apophis. The 1,120 feet or 340 meter wide object will pass within just 19,000 miles of our home planet, a distance that brings it closer than most geostationary satellites. It says, thanks to the tremendous size of Apophis, its close passage will be bright, that around 2 billion people will be able to witness it with the naked eye. First becoming visible in the southern hemisphere, the asteroid will appear as a bright, streaking star across the sky from east to west, initially passing over Australia, then the Indian Ocean, and eventually crossing the equator over Africa. Fortunately, this spectacular and historic event won't be as severe as experts once thought. Initially, scientists were unsure whether the passage of Apophis would result in a collision with Earth. So remember, this was actually said that they first thought that this was going to hit. It said that Apophis is in the category of potentially hazardous asteroids, or PHAs, asteroids with orbits that bring them very close to Earth now and for centuries in the future, said Richard Binzel, professor of technology in Cambridge. It says what makes Apophis the poster child for potentially hazardous asteroids is that it will make the closest known approach to Earth of any large asteroid this decade. It says, but they're the three most important things about Apophis. Apophis will miss the Earth. Apophis will miss the Earth. Apophis will miss the Earth. So, by the way, surrounded around this, there's a lot of weird comments, especially when you go back in time and you go back to when they actually thought this was going to hit Earth. There was a lot of people saying that this would hit, and it kind of reminds me of the movie Don't Look Up, where people were screaming at the top of their lungs saying this is basically going to end us. It says, though now we know that Apophis won't strike Earth in the near future, the asteroid has sat on top of the European Space Agency's impact risk list of PHAs and NASA's Century Risk Table for 17 years. And because of its forthcoming visits, its time for an object of intense scientific interest is just at its beginning. So remember that it says the object was identified at the time as 2004 MN4, though the team was only able to observe the asteroid for 2 days as a result of a technical issue. Okay, so first of all, there was technical issues and unfavorable weather conditions. Further observations quickly revealed a wealth of details about the asteroid. It says in 2005, the asteroid was renamed Apophis after the Greek name for an ancient Egyptian representation of evil, a serpent that dwells in the darkness and frequently attempts to devour the sun god Ra as he makes his nightly passage across the sky. In that same, Apophis received its new moniker. Binzel was part of a team that used reconnaissance telescopic observations to measure the color properties of Apophis and determine its composition. The group found that the asteroid resembles most common class of meteorites known as ordinary chondrites, which are composed mostly of stone and silicates. So, main point here is they said that they then observed it more and they found new data that would suggest that it would not hit Earth. Now they're saying it's going to be 19,000 miles away from Earth. Now remember, the moon is actually only 200 plus thousand miles away from Earth, whatever it is. According to some movies, it's a satellite or a Dyson sphere, whatever the heck that is. But that is, again, 200,000 miles away, according to science. So they're saying that this is essentially 1/10 of the distance of the moon closer to Earth. Even if it is accurate and they say it's going to miss, will our gravity pull it in? It seems like around the same time as this happened, back in 2004, we started seeing the move and the momentum. In fact, back then is, I believe, right around the kind of the birth of SpaceX and everything else. Now SpaceX is going on 20 years old. Do we know, in fact, when SpaceX actually started? Because I know that Elon Musk, one of his biggest things is he is actually trying to go to Mars because he believes that humanity's only chance will be to go to Mars. Again, do we know actually when? I wonder if we could do a quick DuckDuckGo and see when that is. Let's see here. So it looks like when did SpaceX start? And let's see. And I'm sure the chat already probably has it here, but for the people watching at home, let's see. Okay, let's see here. 2005, a year after this was doing this, and they started SpaceX. Just kind of, I just thought that was pretty interesting. 2001 to 2004 is when they started founding it and putting it together. Around the same time of the discovery of this. And one of their main objects was to get off of Earth and to get people to another planet. Now, remember, also in the mainstream, they are telling us that because of the weather and because of the Earth, that we have just a few short years. In fact, at one point, politicians were saying 12 years and 9 years and all of this stuff before we hit this kind of, I remember at one point they called it the climate chaos. And they said we have 500 days until this goes and this and that. And now they're saying that we are going to run out of natural resources in the next 20 years. We're going to run out of this. We're going to run out of that. If you look it up, it's quite it's kind of alarming to see all the stuff they say is going to happen. At the same time, all of the rich elites have bought in rocket companies. All of the richest people in the world are investing in space and getting off of Earth. Now, when you see a movie like Don't Look Up, it's kind of it's sadly accurate to what kind of the goal is for these elites like Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson and, of course, Elon Musk. They're saying that they want to go to Mars and Moon. For what reason? Again, that's veiled in money and tourism and this and that. But Elon has actually been more forward about it. He has said that going and being interplanetary is our only chance of survival, as far as having multiple planets that people go to. Now, whether you believe that's all true, just remember this is what they are actually spending money on. This is what they are doing. And then again, now we have covered in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, all of these old launch pads are now getting activated. You have Missile Row, or I think it was Missile Row or Launch Row. Essentially, Cape Canaveral had this row of basically ghost town launch pads. Now those are being opened up and used again by private companies such as Axiom. So now all of these rich elites are doing their private ventures, and they're all spending money to go up into space. And they're spending a ton of money on this. Why? Is this all just for tourism? And then if you don't believe that, then what are they doing? They're spending all this money just to go up and fly back down. Are they secretly spending the money on something else? What do you think? Again, I'd love to hear everybody's opinion on this, because I am quite baffled why they continue to try to say this. Now, 2029, it makes a lot of sense that you see SpaceX and Elon Musk trying to accelerate things. He recently told them about 2 months ago, he said, if we don't get launching like every 2 weeks, or if we don't get a launch going every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks or something like that, then we'll go bankrupt. So they ended up speeding up the procedure and turning it up. And it's because they wanted to launch the big rockets that launch the smaller SpaceX Starlink satellites. Now, that's what they say. All I ask is that people question everything that is said as far as official, and as far as Apophis goes, maybe Apophis won't hit. Maybe it will go 19,000 miles away. It is 1,000 feet wide, so it is definitely a really, really bad comet. They named it Apophis. They put 666 upside down straight in the name. I mean, the thing is just creepy. And they named it after an ancient Egyptian god that eats the sun. So what do you think about it? Do you think that was just a joke at the astronomy group that named it, or what? I would love to hear your thoughts on this and more. Do you have evidence? Are you a amateur astronomer? Do you have evidence of something hitting us or coming our way? Or do you have information that I don't? Call me at 224-400-MARF. Again, I would love to hear everybody's on this. This is something that I actually do. This is one of my theories as far as what is going on and why things are happening. And I'm not 100% sure, because I don't think any of us are 100% sure. But I believe that they know something is going to happen to us and we don't. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. And then again, you can call in at 224-400-MARF. By the way, thank you everybody that just popped into DLive. Thank you, Jay Scorpio. I appreciate your support. Stargal, Stormblade X69, Blunted Ninja, and Searching for Answers. Thank you, Rock Radio and Renegade PD. Thank you for being here. Man, you've been here for probably 3 years now, so thank you so much. All right, and then moving on, Space Balloon Company offers first look at luxury cabins. This is just another part of this. It says that Space Perspective on Tuesday revealed illustrations of its Swish cabins, which it hopes to start launching from Kennedy Space Center in Florida from late 2024. Now, this is, again, another instance where it's another launch pad that will be launched, a private company that is doing this. I want to ask you guys a question. Did you know that there were so many private companies actually doing this? Or did you think it was just Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and Elon Musk? Did you know that there are several, and I'm talking about several companies out there that are working on rocket technology and basically booking tickets to space? We're talking about every country in the world is doing this now, or essentially trying to get tickets off of it. If they can't have their own space program, they're working with private companies that do. Is this Noah's Ark? Are they making a Noah's Ark to get off Earth? That is my question. I'm not trying to be exaggerative or scare people. This is genuinely, it would put a lot of things into a logical place if you look at what is happening and how much BS we know is being told to us. Then what is the real story? If you know that 95% of what you're being told doesn't make sense, that you cannot witness it, it's invisible, it's not there, and they're doing all of this, are they actually doing it for control, for practice, for something that is to come? Now, it says that Space Perspective on Tuesday revealed the illustrations of its Swiss cabins, which it hopes to start launching. It said that tickets, more than 600 tickets have so far been sold at $125,000 each. It says with 5 feet high windows, deep seats, dark purple tones, and subdued lighting, the atmosphere contrasts with the white and sanitized capsules of its competitors. Wi-Fi connectivity and drinks bar round out the space lounge inside the company's Neptune capsule. Whether it really constitutes a space flight is a matter of debate. The balloon reaches an altitude of 20 miles, much lower than the rival's Virgin Galactic, which goes just over 50 miles high, or Blue Origin, which breaches the Kármán line, or 62 miles above sea level, the international recognized space border. It says that the SpaceX Crew Dragons fly even deeper into space, and of course, potentially what they say is out to ISS and further. It says that 20 miles is still far higher than commercial planes, which ascend about 6 miles high. So imagine flying around in this thing held up by a balloon. This is pretty trippy, I have to say. Now this, I believe most people will believe will happen. As far as some of the doubters, I think that this is more believable than anything else, especially in their realm. What if they could take up just general people up in this? What if it got cheaper? What if it got to the point where it was the same price as, say, going up into the Space Needle or into, the Las Vegas Tower or to the top of the Empire State Building, as far as if they had hundreds of these going up at a time? What a freaking trip that would be. Now, let's see here. Missouri Battle Flag, thank you for subscribing. Adam Drop, Shirley Baker, and all of the people that just popped in. I appreciate all of you. And then it looks like we had a few people pop in, so thank you. Let's see here. I did miss a couple people, so I apologize. R111, thank you for your support, and you didn't even say anything. I don't know if that was a super sticker, but I appreciate that. It says Allie Baker says, I believe that they're using all of this money. Let's see here. All of this money to go underground. The Bible does not say anything about them heading up. They go into caves. That's interesting. Well, I wonder if what if there are caves on the moon? And then Tony, simply smash the like and share if you can. I appreciate that, Tony. Thank you so much. And then love to see you are covering this. I have been talking about this for 2 years now. It will come in with the debris field. 2027 to 2034 will be a crazy ride. So Greg Davis, I think that as we go along, I think more and more will come about this. As we do know from a previous piece of information that we got, and we vetted this woman. This person basically did auditing for government bills, and said that a huge amount of money was ended up sending, basically approved for cleanup for, what was it? Asteroid, or no, it was cosmic debris. Well, Dex, can you remember what it was? It was debris for, a Class 2 gas giant. It was a C2GG or something, and it was,
yes.
Was it called cosmic debris, or what was that called?
It was just debris cleanup.
And it was the amount of money, which was the shocking, and it was debris cleanup from a class 2 gas giant, which we ended up looking up and showing all the information on that. That means, are they preparing for us to go through some sort of asteroid field? And before you end up saying, poo-pooing that, look at the numbers of the sightings of things coming in. I have personally seen, in fact, last year I saw a lot more than I have this year. This year I've only seen one shooting star. The year before, I saw actual 2 things burning up in our atmosphere in the same week. And it wasn't even around one of the asteroid, any of the meteor showers. As far as look at the meteor, the actual data for people seeing things coming into our atmosphere and asteroids, it has quadrupled, and it's gone up year after year for the last 5 years. So are we actually heading into a debris field? Is that why they are heading up? Is that why they're doing this? Is this also a design for people to go up temporarily or to survive via balloon or something? I don't know. But again, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Natalie D says, Marfoogle News is the only news I use. Best mods on YouTube. Hey, thank you for including the mods in that. The mods, again, everybody's got stuff going on right now. So thank you for saying that. Vicky K, End Times in the house. Longtime viewer, 3+ years. I saw a burning meteor like 3 weeks ago, says End Times. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so actually, let's do a quick poll. I have the chat on the screen. Have you seen in the last 2 years, have you seen something come into the atmosphere as far as an asteroid? Not a shooting star, but something come in. I'm sure there's not going to be too much, but I would be surprised if we don't have any. Let's see how many people have seen something come in. Now, that could also be explained by the amount of stuff that they're launching up there. Maybe it's space trash. Maybe it's something, stuff getting shot down. I don't know. But it would be lovely to have you guys answer that once that chat box pops up. And then let's see here. There we go. Yes. Oh, wow. Okay, so for those of you at home, I'd probably say look at the amount of people saying. Let's see there. Look at that. Okay, so some of these could be lying, right? But even if some, or 90%, that's a lot of yeses. So this is what I mean. When we actually pull our information together, you can only see you can actually see that a lot of people are experiencing something, but it's not something that is really talked about, or it's talked about with your personal friends and family, but you don't really get it out to to everybody else. I think if someone did a study, nationwide just here in the US, I bet you that a ton of stuff is coming down. And that's why the official data, the stuff that actually gets called in and reported, has quadrupled now. And we're talking about actual numbers of people calling in, calling the police, reporting something in the sky, burning up and coming in. That has quadrupled. You don't have to believe me. We've put data up from reliable sources on that, from the actual agency that takes all the reports. So what the heck is going on? That's the question I have, and I don't have the answer, and I don't think any of you do either. So all I say is that if, this is partly a fascination for all of us. I think that a lot of us believe something is on its way. And really what the big question is what is next? We try to guess the probabilities and the patterns and what is happening and what is most likely. I think that there's like 6 or 7 really bad scenarios, and all of them could happen over a matter of time. I mean, you're talking about from a mass tidal wave to CERN making a black hole and sucking us in. Who knows? All of it could be possible. And unfortunately, I think that we're in a generation that very well could be the last or the only. Who knows? Maybe it's on repeat and we're... You know what I'm saying? All right. And then at least 29. Hold on. Before I do that, I did want to see. I don't think it loaded. There are, I believe there are more pictures on that space capsule on the website. So we're just going to hit this briefly. I do think that this was really funky here. At least 29 were supposedly injured in Brooklyn subway incident. and there was undetonated devices found, right? So, first of all, it says that the guy threw a smoke device or had a smoke device and then just went. Apparently, that wasn't. Maybe he didn't think about actually like getting people, because if you have smoke, you can't see either. Because I'm very surprised that no one has passed yet. Now, Dex, do we have anything that? I believe no one has passed, but there is somebody in critical. There's 5 people in critical, right? So that means that
there's a handful in critical, but they don't seem to be life-threatening at this point. So far, miraculously, nobody was, obviously will perish from this, but certainly a big event as far as what he was able to do. And the other interesting fact, I don't know if it's in here, but apparently the CCT cameras, the closed-circuit television cameras, were not working in any of these locations.
All right, so that's just sketch. I don't. So, by the way, and some of it was released things, right? They didn't know if it was, at first they didn't know if it was smoke or gas or this or that. I just want you to take you back here a second. Just kind of want to throw this back. Just a few months ago, we covered this. Okay, so, and this is why we look at all the drills and exercises. Dex, I know you're probably on the phone now, but if you do know what I'm talking about, you could try to find it too. Let's see here. New York subway, chemical drills. Let's try that. Look at this. This isn't that long ago either. Let's see if this will load here without going too nuts. This is by the actual National Guard.mil. Okay. So this is October 26th, 2021. This is just a matter of about half of a year ago. 6 months ago, the New York National Guard's 24th Civil Support Team is hosting 124 counterparts from 19 other states in New York City this week to support a Homeland Security exercise focused on figuring out how biological and chemical disperse in a city. Officially known as the Urban Threat Dispersion Project, the exercise, which began October 18th, is a test of the DHS and New York's Metropolitan Transportation Authority to determine how to defend against or biological attacks in a major city. Now, what even gets crazier is they actually drilled in the subway. It actually, here we go. Yeah, it says the subway systems can also create what is called a piston effect from the inertia of a train going down the tunnel, both pushing and pulling the air as it travels. Now, I'm sure most of you probably thought today, as this was happening, or this morning, thinking, what if something else was in there that was released with that? That was probably fresh in most people's brain. It definitely went through mine. It said the non-toxic particles in gas contained short strands of DNA inside a sugar molecule so they could be traced easily, Casarella explained. So what they're saying is when the subway train goes through the tunnel, just like as if somebody walks out a door very quickly, I don't know what would be a good explanation, but if you've ever had... if you've ever been in a club that uses like the smoke or whatever, somebody walks out and it wafts, or if a fire when a window breaks and the air goes shooting out, it sucks it out. They're saying the traveling train basically pulls the air through, kind of like if there's dust or something and you see somebody walk out the door, it pulls and sucks things through the door with it. So this is kind of eerily similar to what happened, only you add the bang bang effect and you have something entirely different. Now, was this a success on this gentleman's, was this the goal of this gentleman? We don't know much about him. We do know, what he looked like apparently, and what his, how tall he was and things like that, and his descriptor, what shade he was. But I don't believe we have too much yet. So we'll follow this, and I would have covered this at about 9:30. It was a couple hours after it happened. But again,
Adam, I think they
go ahead.
I think they released since this article his name, and they've got photos of him up on the web, all over the web now. And I think there's even a $50,000 reward. They're calling him a person of interest until they can get more information. They found all the things that were left behind, including fireworks, gas, and some other objects.
So he is still at large. This guy who did this is technically still out. If it's not like a JF
65.
65 years old.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Well, we'll follow the story.
Frank James.
We'll follow it, and then we'll fill you guys in. We like to give you the story after everything is put together instead of jumping the bang bang, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. I would have covered an hour and in, but I wasn't sure. When I first saw this, I thought this is a huge kind of look over here while we do over here. So I was looking at everything else. But I didn't think, I thought also that this is going to be something that I feel it could have had the potential to turn into something like LV with the whole concert there. Something like that. But again, nobody passed. Somehow, God was watching those people because or something else. I don't know. All right. And then before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, if you have not already, if you do want to protect yourself against EMP, there is a way to do that. In fact, you can actually protect yourself against EMP and CMEs, the natural kind, the solar flares from the sun that can potentially knock down our entire power grid. Again, this is something that can actually protect your devices, your cars, your houses, your boats, your RVs. There's a device for pretty much anything that you want to keep running after either multiple EMPs or a massive CME, a Carrington level event happens. If you have one of these wired in, it will ground the signal of the EMP or the CME in a matter of a picosecond before it's able to fry your device. If you go to marfooglenews.com/EMP, you can go and check this out, but you can also, again, get $50 off if you go through us. Nowadays, these guys have been called up. In fact, after we started working with them, they got huge contracts with the likes of DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So these are Keystone military-tested devices, but it is a private company. They handmade these in Kansas. In fact, when they first started, it was a little tiny place making them. Now they are, of course, got all these contracts, and they're expanding rapidly. During T-Man's administration, he put in an executive order that immediately put these guys to a ton of work trying to protect our grid. Some of those executive orders were undone, but actually the EMP order was one of the few that was still standing, just slowed down. So again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. These devices are also, now they have a new version that can actually go on the in and out of an Energy solar generator. So if you already got a Energy solar generator, you can actually get an EMP shield that works with that. So then you'll have your protected solar generator, you'll have your panels, you have all of that, and when the lights go out, they go back on for you. All right, and that's again marfooglenews.com/EMP. Speaking of CMEs and solar, we're going to have our first caller of the night. This is a planned guest. We have wages. So a lot of stuff has happened in the last few days and a lot of stuff in the last 2 months. We have had solar event after solar event. So we're going to talk about that now with wages. Do we have wages live?
Yeah, I think I'm here. You got me?
All right, wages. You are live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Adam? Hi, Foogle fan. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. You can hear me good enough, can't you, Adam?
Yep, you're crystal clear for me.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, Dex sent you those pics and everything, but I would start with this, guys. A few days back, we had a unexpected geomagnetic storm, and it was a moderate sized one of the bigger ones we've had this sun cycle. It only lasted very, very short amount of time, but it was completely unexpected and out of the blue. And I've been getting a lot of questions on what caused that. And we were hit with a CME 2 days before that. It didn't put us into geomagnetic storm conditions, right? But it did hit. And so what caused that G3 storm was the wake of that 2 days later. And, you know, I know that a lot of people don't talk about that because it's not really a well-known thing. And it's just like a boat going through the water. When a CME's hurled at us, it's a big ball of plasma. So it's going through, you can think of space as just a big ocean full of particles. So as it's pushing through, it's causing a wake. And sometimes that wake is on a lag time behind us. And when it hits us, it's almost hitting us from the side. So when that happens, it tends to give us a pretty big jolt because our magnetic field is protecting us from the front for the most part. You know, we got a magnetic field surrounding the whole planet, but for the most part, because of the solar wind coming from the sun direction, you know, all that protection kind of gets stretched out behind us. So when we get hit from the side, that's what happened. But I just wanted to clarify that G3 storm because I know a lot of people had a lot of questions about that. And that's what that was. It was a wake from a CME that we got hit with 2 days before. You know, and I'm not the only one that holds that opinion. I mean, I think for the most part, most everybody here does in this community. But yeah, so I guess if you got the first couple pictures up there, yeah, you got the second one up there right now. That is a CME that missed us. That's from our view, the one you're looking at there. If you've got Wages 2 pick up there, Adam, if that's what that is. That is one that missed us to the south. Okay, and the only reason why I even bring this up is because if we'd have got hit with this one, the next one that came along would have been a little bit more powerful because we would have had geomagnetic conditions already happening. So this is from our perspective is what you're looking at there, and you can see how it did go to our south. And there was a side view from the first pick, I believe, Adam. If you go back up to the first one, that one would be that's the side view. The first pick would be, but that's from Stereo A. That's a different satellite. We look at both so we can get that one there. So you got a reference frame of where Earth actually is. So, you know, it's not right there. It's just in that direction. So that's from the side. That's that same CME that you showed in the next picture. That did miss us, right?
Now, can I ask?
I say that.
What would have happened if that did hit this particular one?
That particular one, it would have put us into geomagnetic storm conditions, in my opinion. Probably a 1 or a 2 level storm. And again, why that's important and why I'm even showing you guys this is the fact that we had a coronal hole in between these things that was shooting fast solar wind at us. So things are continuously coming at us right now, and it's not allowing our magnetic field to get back to a more stable position. And you got to kind of think of our magnetic field like, you know, if you were a gladiator on the battlefield, you know, you got your shield out in front of you protecting, but when something comes from a different angle and it's getting fired at you at the same time, like say an archer behind you, and it's coming in from the top, now you're having to try to protect yourself from all directions. And that's not possible. So what happens in those situations is a lot of this geomagnetism gets here and it puts us into storm levels that are higher than what would have been if it would have stood on its own. So, you know, that first one, yeah, that's what would happen. And the one you got up there now, that is NOAA. That's their Space Weather Prediction Center there. That's their forecasting. And I put the arrow there on purpose because that's on the 14th. That's coming from another CME that was fired like 2 days after that one I just showed you. If you go down to the next picture, Adam, you'll see that CME. That's from Stereo A. The next pick would be, and it's from the side view. And what you're going to see there, you can definitely see that it would be coming our direction. right? Now, I know it doesn't look like it's that intense, but that's something you got to understand with these coronagraphs. You can't really tell exactly what the conditions are. You know, we can see how bright it is and how large it is, but as far as the concentration of plasma, that's where, you know, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Now, the brighter it is, typically that's more dense particles, but you can definitely see, if you look at the haziness of that pic, you can see how far it's north and south. It's not going to miss us. The NOAA model, the NASA model, they're all confirming this, and there's nobody questioning whether or not this is going to hit. It's going to give us about in that previous picture, you don't have to go back to it, but it will give us storm level conditions up to geomagnetic 2 conditions. And, you know, on the off chance it hits at a weird angle, it could push us a little higher. And what's about this CME here, if you want to go down to the next pic, there's another pic from our view. It would be from the LASCO C2, which is on the SOHO satellite. That satellite sits right out in front of us. Okay, it's about 1 million miles closer to the sun, and it orbits the sun with us. So that's from our view. That's what this is a great example of a halo CME. Okay, that thing it blasted off, and that's no doubt, because that disc right there is an actual physical black disc on the satellite. So when these things fire off, you can't tell if they're coming at us. And like I said, this one right here, that's actually the one that's going off the backside. So if you go down to the next picture there, check that one out. This is the one where we kind of, I guess, if you want to call it lucky.
Whoa.
When you look at this next one, if it's up already, I can't see, but and as that thing spread out, I have to say that was probably that wouldn't have been very fun. I mean, obviously I can't sit here and say it's grid down, because I don't think it would have been, but I would say that would be a very significant thing. Now, and why I'm bringing this up is because we're getting hit, and then that one happened after. So if that would have fired off our direction, then you're talking the double tap thing that we talked about quite a bit. You know, and again, it's the same thing. The magnetic field doesn't have enough time to get back to a normal situation. And again, that's off the backside. And there's some really cool technology now that they're using. It's called helioseismicity or something like that. They're using the sun, earthquakes and stuff that are on the sun, to be able to predict what the backside of the sun looks like. And we had one significant event. If you go down to the next capture there, Adam, that is.
You dropped out there for a second. And this has happened before with wages, where it drops out for a second and then comes back in.
Yeah, Adam, he's still online. We don't hear anything from him.
Okay. So, as the non-expert, I'll just look at this and say it's probably not good. As far as the backside and everything that's going on too, it was like a week and a half ago when the sunspot went past us and went around. The thing is these big ones that release, they come from these sunspots, and then that sunspot can rotate and be right directed at us again. And now we are no longer in the solar minimum. Right now we are in solar cycle 25. The solar cycles last, I don't want to say around 12 years or 11 years. This one was a shorter one, so they looked at the grand scale of the 400 plus years. They've looked at all of these different cycles, and they said that it is within the 11-year cycles. There's actually another cycle that happens every once in a while, and we are now in basically this solar cycle that happens every once in a while after a short cycle or a 10 or 11-year cycle, and then it's even more crazy. So not fun. Wages, I'm assuming maybe headset died or something happened there. but I'll go through these last two pictures here.
Yeah, I'm going to try and reconnect with him, Adam. He's still online, but I can't hear him. So,
hey, Wages, if you can hear us, you may just want to disconnect, and then Dex can get you back on. And then NOAA prediction model here is extremely high dense hit. Take a look at that. And these are pretty colors. But I have a sneaking suspicion that those pretty colors would destroy our planet if they were the right pretty colors, or if they were the right direction. Again, I'm not an expert, as you can tell. But when we get Wages back on, we'll finish that up. And then, but for the most part, one thing that we definitely want to get the message out is that most people are not even thinking about the sun or solar events. If you talk to your coworkers and friends and family and people, they do not think about this stuff. They've heard about it. They may have seen a Travel Channel or a History Channel documentary on solar stuff, but they don't think about it in a daily structure. All right. It looks like we have you back.
Yep.
And then we have the last picture.
Where did I get cut off at? Just remind me, and I'll make it quick.
Okay. There were on picture 6 or 7. So backside of the sun.
Were we on the backside of the sun with the seismic activity?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So my point with that, even showing that, is the fact that now we got a good idea of what can happen on the backside of the sun without having satellites over there. So it gives us more of a warning of when things are coming. That's why this is so important. But that was a very, very big sunspot, and it was changing the whole vibration of the entire sun. So, that should tell you something. It's much like when we get rung with a big earthquake here on our planet. It's the same thing. But, obviously the sun isn't a big rock like we are. So things act a little different. But they're able to understand that now in a way that they can say, hey, that's where the sunspots are, right? And that big one, when it blew, man, that was a big one. I don't know how big it would have been. Who knows? This is the hard thing to kind of wrap your brain around. And something I did kind of skip over earlier, I just want to mention it real quick, that the CME that's getting ready to hit us, that came from an area of the sun that there were no sunspots. It was a dead sunspot, and it had a filament that was laying across it, and it exploded just out of the blue. So, and it just happened to explode right in front of us. So, I mean, that happens. I say this a lot. The sun can do what it wants, when it wants, and how it wants. And it's showing that. And that's exactly what's going on. So if you want to go to that last one there, I'll just kind of sum that up for you real quick, that last pic. And what you're going to see there, that's NOAA's prediction of what's coming. And why I wanted to show you guys this is the fact that, our normal density is 4. They're predicting this thing to be at 100. So that's a very concentrated, very high dense ball of plasma. Now they're still saying G2, and I have no reason to doubt what's going to happen there, but I could see it being a little bit bigger. It's a significant thing to say we're going to get hit with 100 on the density.
And so
that's why I wanted to show you guys this.
Just to remind people where we are compared to what they forecasted for this year and what has actually happened.
Yeah. Yes, for the past 18 months, we have been above their predicted sunspot numbers that face the Earth. That right there in itself should speak volumes to people. It's not that we shouldn't trust their predictions or their forecasting. It's the fact that things are changing. And there were a couple scientists, and we've talked about that already, I believe even here, that came out and said, hey, we're going to have a more active sun cycle. And that's exactly what's going on. We're getting so many more sunspots. We had like 18 M flares this past week. I was just looking at the NOAA when I lost the call there. They updated again already, and now they're calling for another geomagnetic storm on the 15th because of another CME. So this is kind of what I'm saying. this stuff is going to be in a cycle. And what we have to understand is when we get stuff back to back to back, and we have to know that, hey, listen, just because this is the way it was in historically doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be that way right now.
And so, by the way,
that's kind of
those two scientists, the alarming part about that is they have further predictions, and they predict that this is going to get really, really bad. So far they have been right on several things, and using sort of these updated models that they're going off of, they're seeing a whole lot of trouble in our near future. We also think back, like I know that Wages, I know you know about all of the Deagle reports and things that came out. Part of the Deagle, did you know that they were actually using information from the UN, information from astronomers, information from all over the place? And that gentleman, Edwin J. Deagle, people just thought it was like some website that had administrators putting it together. Edwin J. Deagle worked for 5 of our presidents, and his specialty was putting data together and basically predicting the future. He was like, you always see those movies about how they have an AI that does the wargaming for stuff and predicts the outcome. That was him before computers. He would put all of the data together and everything from everything possible, and he would put it together and he would say, here's my prediction on what is going to happen. He predicted by 2025, all of a sudden, all of the allies, and it really does reflect, all of the allies would lose 2/3 of their population. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, the world population would drop dramatically. And that part of the information that he did have was these were solar and information from the UN, from the 3-letter agencies, from everywhere. So it's very, very creepy that he did that. Right?
Well, it's a great point. I mean, it's a very valid point, to be honest with you. If anybody thinks that's a bunch of whatever, it's not. We got scientists, and there's a few of them out there that will step out, and do the right thing. And I think there's probably more than what we actually think, to be honest. But the fact of the matter is, things are changing, and just like you said, what is concerning about it is the fact that the scientists that are now being proven right, we really need to start looking at what they are saying is coming in the future, because that's really where I would start trusting that more than I would trust the other stuff. And, and unfortunately, all we got is what we can access. You know what I mean? And we can dig in and we can try to do what we do. And that's why I do what I do. But at the end of the day, trust the people that have been correct. Trust the people that are now saying, and they're, and it's becoming more and more, Adam. It really is. People are starting to step out a little bit. And I think some of the conscious behind some of these people are getting to them, just to be honest. But that's just my opinion. So, but yeah.
Well, that's
my little update.
Thank you, Wages, for the solar update, and I'm sure we'll have you back on very soon. And that's unfortunate because whenever we have you on, it's not exactly the greatest news. But again, we'll see you next flare. Next flare, not next year, but next flare. And thank you.
One thing I do want to tell everybody just real quick. I've been doing some research on the Puerto Rico power outage. I do honestly think that had something to do with space weather, but that takes a whole other conversation. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I would explain in a deeper level. But anyway, love you guys. Love you, Zool fam. Have a good one.
Thank you, Wages.
See you, Adam.
Have a good night, and we'll see you back again. That was Wages World. If you want to go check out his channel, we have it linked on marfooglenews.com. All you need to do is type in Wages, WAGES, World on YouTube. And if you want to follow his solar studies, then you can go over and do so. He also runs a channel as well that goes over all sorts of issues as far as non-political issues and things like that, as far as recovery and other things. So make sure to check out his other channel as well. All right, and then Natalie D says, Marfoogle News, only use I News. Thank you, only use I News. Thank you. And then, by the way, I did miss, looks like I did miss someone there, and it was Spirit Matrix 2004 says, I just happy I survived the Cobra-19 synthetic plant. I did nearly succumb to clots and heart attack, though. Watch the water. Spirit Matrix, actually, J-Stone sent me that video. I cannot believe on Rumble that video has over 1 million views, which, again, on YouTube, that's not much. But for Rumble, that's all organic people sharing. That means people are actually sharing it out and putting it to other people's hands. That's like a pamphlet that has been handed out 1 million times. That's pretty impressive. I didn't get all the way through it because it's not the shortest video there, but I did get through a few minutes of it, and I plan to watch it after tonight's show. I was just giving it to last night or today, whenever J-Stone sent me that. So again, our mods do a great job of collecting stuff as well. Chanel Bevliqua, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Greg Davis, Tony Simply, Ali Baker, and then R1111. Thank you so much. And then looks like I did miss Kendra last show. Thank you, Kendra. I appreciate your support. Joseph Newhouse in the house. Thank you so much. Thank you for the trees super sticker there. Paul Mark DeSantis. I wonder if you're in any way related. How are you doing, Paul Mark? And it's nice to have you tonight. And then Shane Horton, which is funny. Horton hears a who. I did not see anything, but 1.5 years ago, I heard a boom so loud it shook the ground. Closest thing it sounded like was a sonic boom. I live by SJAFB, but the sound was widely reported on the East Coast. So you're saying you heard a sound that was actually heard all the way across. That's pretty crazy. Laura Reed, don't do that. Hi, Adam. Can you please mention that April is National Donate Life Month and how important it is to be an organ, tissue, or eye donor? There are many people who are waiting for their life-saving transplant. Thank you, Dex Mods, and all you do. So, Laura, I understand. So, Laura is a double lung transplant, which is incredible. So, you know what? You are one of the first people that I know, and that it's so crazy what you have to go through. She has to go through so much just to have those lungs keep living inside of her. She has to go to monthly trips to have them blown up. They blow them up like a balloon to keep them open because they produce scar tissue and all this other crazy stuff. I'm just kind of blown away. It's such a crazy thought to me. I've always been a donor. It's so crazy to think about that you are walking around with somebody else's parts inside of you. That is just so insane. But yeah, and then especially lungs. That is the craziest part. Natalie D, I appreciate you, and then everybody. But Laura, you don't have to do that. Please, you guys, do $1 or $5. Thank you, though. You guys know I'm just going to give it right back. All right, and then Watchful and Alert. Hey, fam. Thanks, Marv. And hi, Dave. And nice to see you guys. I love to have you here. Who knows? Maybe we'll have Nick in the house or something. Okay, and going back to the news, baby formula shortages hit stores across the U.S. with some rationing supplies. Now, this is something we actually warned. If you've been watching our show, we talked about baby formula in specific and said that a lot of it would be hoarded during CV. This was being hoarded. But actually before that, we warned you, and a lot of people thanked us because that was one of the kind of common sense things that people needed to look at. Whether they had babies, other people have actually given that as a tip for people to get as a prepper, because it has a lot of essential minerals and things like that. So that was the mindset of some people during CV when it first started, and nobody knew how bad it was going to be. People thought it was the end of the world, and people went out and bought all of the baby formula. One thing that alarms me about this is how fast this is spreading. So is there something else that is coming that people are watching? Is there something that the whispers are going out? There's chatter that something else is going to happen. Well, we do know publicly they are talking about these bird things that are going around, that the next thing will happen, and that this next cycle or season, that this all is going to come back. So whether you believe that or not, that's what the messaging is going out, and that causes panic. But apparently, it says stores across the U.S. Have started to ration baby formula, while others are reporting increasing shortages. The nationwide shortage in baby formula comes 2 months after a huge manufacturer recall, which occurred as a result of illnesses and deaths among infants. It says in March, the Food and Drug Administration released a warning to consumer, urging them to be aware of certain products branded Similac, Alimentum, and Elecare that have been recalled. Reports of infant illnesses investigated following U.S. formula recall. I have personally seen this, but luckily it wasn't the kind that we have to use Earth's Best. In fact, we missed this entirely. We have 2 kids, and my wife tried breastfeeding as long as she could, but when it just naturally was stopped working on both of our latest babies, in fact, our 7-year-old, she went through for like a year and a half. She did almost all of it. But as far as the second 2, it was much harder. And we ended up going with formula, and luckily they had problems, like intestinal problems with the regular Similac and all those other formulas. So we did the Earth's Best, like iron based. It sucks because it's more expensive, but it doesn't give them gas, right? So we got that, and actually we knew somebody through basically somebody that was a Facebook connection, right? And they had one of the serious situations with this going on about 2.5 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, or about a month ago or something, and it was related to some sort of baby formula. And I want to say that they're suing the store they bought it from or something because it was sold after. But this is really scary. And anytime there's shortages of this, that's pretty alarming because that is such an essential item. That is something that if you are not able to breastfeed, then it's kind of a must. I mean, I guess, what do you do? I don't know. Can babies actually process food even earlier if they, if there's no other option? Can you home make it? Is there something that would keep them, nutritioned, right? But it does say that there is shortages across the U.S. I have personally seen this in all of the other brands. Our brand is like this super weird little brand that I don't even know if it's made outside of here. I mean, Earth's Best is pretty big, I think. But again, I've seen there's an entire shelf like at Walmart and at Fred Meyer's and all the places around here. There's nothing. There's like maybe the couple weird kinds that only certain people go for because of their specialty kind of, aspects. Have you had problems getting baby formula for your kids? Put it in the chat below or put it in the comments down below me. And then Jason Ames, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. And then DJ, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Marfia. And then Watch the Water is a must-watch. Yeah, everybody, I couldn't believe I was late to that buzz. But again, crazy. And then we have China. Twitter appears to be censoring content about food shortages in Shanghai as residents struggle amid a harsh lockdown. So if you haven't seen the creepy videos by now, they're extremely alarming. Terrifying, I would say. In fact, Dex, just in case you needed to get in, I did have that muted. We didn't talk about this. I don't know if we got it in our web-only content, but did you see the terrifying videos of people screaming from their windows? I know I didn't give it to you, so I don't think it ended up on web-only. Basically, people were screaming from their actual decks, and a lot of people thought that it was an older video, but there were new videos that surfaced, and there was even a video of drones flying around and saying, basically, control your desire to sing. Do not sing outside the window. Desire your desire for freedom. Quell your desire for freedom. Do your best not to come out and sing. People were in these Shanghai towers. Remember, Shanghai has 25 million people. That's 2.5 times the population of all of Washington in one city. Dex, go ahead. It's actually twice as much as New York. At 2.5 times.
Hey, yeah, and Adam, I missed you. I just heard you calling my name. Was there something specific I can help with?
Oh, so I didn't give you the stuff. Did you ever end up putting the videos of the Shanghai residents screaming on web only?
No, but I have it. I think I put it on my Twitter. I'll go grab it and I can put it in web only. I know I have that one for sure.
Okay, so we didn't talk about that when it happened, but you probably thought the same thing as I did. Is this old video from last time? But it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah, the time before, many years ago or 2 years ago, that seems like many years ago, they were chanting solidarity. Like they had this chant and they were all together, and it was, it was sort of like a come together thing. And this was more like just,
terrible
screaming. Like they were just mad. Like, I think even people said, once the cops showed up, everybody sort of went back and, got quiet because they knew they were going to get in trouble.
Well, what's even freakier is, so a drone came in with a loudspeaker and told them, basically shut up, control your desire for freedom. And oh my gosh. But here's the thing. One thing that needs to be talked about with this is people think that can't happen anywhere else. That's going to happen if anything gets worse. So as far as like, say a place like New York, they will be on their decks screaming just the same, and they will bring in a drone and say, be quiet. That is not something, which by the way, I tweeted that out and I said basically DJI's new commercial is terrifying or disturbing or something, because they're using their DJI made drones for that. But it's not a joke. Like that's... And by the way, we talked about this. They locked down 25 million in an extreme lockdown. Like, this is the same place that has put barbed wire down the hallways of apartment buildings so people don't go through and go out. They have, programs set up and they're like giving food. It's like they can't leave their house for anything. And then restaurants close down. We read that article and talked about this. And it's like they're saying it's because of this, right? What is it really? Like, is this test run? Like, what is actually going on? And if you listen to the audio of the one video at night, he is saying something bad is about to happen. That is the creepiest part. He is saying in Chinese, something bad is about to happen. We can all feel it. So, paraphrasing that, but the first part is true. He said that something bad is about to happen. That is creepy as hell. If you don't know, go over to marfooglenews.com. Go check out the video. Again, it's a copyrighted thing, so go over and watch it for yourself. And then Xi reports, and I say Xi instead of that for a reason, reports 2 new human cases of H5N6. Is this the most predictable bad movie ever? It seems like it. We've talked about this just a couple days ago, and as far as Robert Redfield and all of this other things that are being said and telegraphed, Ice Age Farmer talked about this over a week ago. Great job catching that and telegraphing to everybody else what they're telegraphing. 2 people who are hospitalized in critical condition in mainland have tested positive for H5N6. It says raising the number of cases so far this year to 19. That's not a lucky number, is it? Officials say the spike in human cases has led for calls for increased surveillance. I wonder if they mean like they're going to watch you in your window or just monitoring the situation. It says the first case, a 28-year-old man from Huyang in Henan province, developed symptoms on March 18th after exposure to live poultry. According to the Hong Kong Health Department, he was hospitalized the next day and remains in critical condition. So not good. Before we get to Taiwan issues, wartime survival handbook, that kind of creepy. Just want to talk about, of course, marfooglenews.com/prep. If you haven't already, this is a great way to go get yourself some long-term survival food and support your favorite channel at the same time. This is through My Patriot Supply, and what this does is it gives you a plethora of choices as far as all of the stuff that you want to stock up on. Now, they have the MRE bucket foods as far as the meals that essentially are easy to make and long store. Again, this is all over at marfooglenews.com/prep. The thing is most people are going to end up going through some of, especially somewhere like My Patriot Supply. This way, you can actually, in most cases, get some sort of discount, and you're helping us at the same time. It doesn't cost you a cent extra. You actually get something physically out of it that will actually help preserve or save your life, and you are helping us at the same time. I think it's a win-win for everybody. There are certain things that we definitely say are kind of higher up on the list right now, especially just based on what's going on. That would be long-term storage food, water filtration, such as the Alexa Pure Pro that they have on there, a water filtration system. Because, again, if we lose our grid or anything happens, the water will not be drinkable. And, again, if you've been watching, I definitely want to go for a water filtration system. And then third would be the iodine tablets. If you are so at all worried about that kind of scenario, iodine tablets would be something that nobody would think about until it's too late. That's something that can last a few years, and then again, it could potentially save your life or make the quality of life better if something like that ever does happen. Not saying it will happen, but again, most preppers have some form of that. All right, let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have Amanda. The number 2244000 Again, 22440006273. If you want to call in, that number is going to be down below on the black bar. Amanda, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam.
So what is going on?
I was calling about the documentary, Watch the Water, but in addition to that, Mike Adams interviews the guy that did the documentary. He went into more depth with the evidence and everything on Brighteon.com. And he has like a 3-part interview out. Well, the 3rd part comes out tomorrow. But he shows all of the evidence behind it, like goes into all the details. Really, really interesting.
So I was only able to get a few minutes in, so I think I'll have more to talk about tomorrow. But it is really pretty much stormed Rumble, it stormed Brighteon, it stormed all of the sites. So again, I don't want to ignorantly talk about something I don't fully know about yet. But again, it was something that I was happy that somebody like Jaystone could have shared it with me. Everyone is saying the same thing, and that's where this is very powerful for us to say, hey, everybody go over and watch. We're going to end up linking it on our website so everybody can go and access that.
The more people that see it, the better. Everybody needs to see it.
Now, another question. Do you think that something big is on its way? Do you think that just after watching that or other things, do you think something big is on its way here?
There's stuff coming from every direction right now. Between the sun, the stuff with the conflict, the food shortages, everything's coming to a head.
Do you think we are in end times?
Not end times, but the Great Reset, I guess it would be, but not in the way that they want it. I don't think they're going to win. We're going to win.
Well, I certainly hope you're right. Now, have you seen what is happening in other countries, such as Xi's country? Do you think that that's all related to what you saw in that documentary?
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And the fact that it's snake venom, king cobra, and Chinese crate. Yeah, it has everything to do with what's going on over there. And the fact that it's a snake, and then in the Bible, it's a serpent. So, definitely.
So I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to be watching the documentary, and then I'm probably going to write an article. I think that I may see if Dex wants to add to that. I want to put out a piece on this and put it out on marfooglenews.com. For some reason, I've never had something suggested so much in such a short amount of time. So I'm super glad that Jay Stone gave it to me, and I'm like super excited to go see this. Almost as excited as some of the other things. So I'm excited to be on the same level as everybody else.
You should definitely check out the Brighteon interview too with Mike Adams, the Health Ranger report. It goes into way more detail than the documentary does. And with physical evidence, he shows it all.
Okay. Well, again, this is something that I don't think most people, even if they watch the documentary, probably didn't know about. So I actually think I heard about this before the show, and I thought they were one and the same. So I'm glad that you brought that up. We will. Did you give that link to Dex to put on the website? Dex, I'm assuming that means yes.
Yes.
Yes. Adam, I've got all the links under her name, under the caller. We already had one of them in web only, but I put them all together under her name.
Okay, perfect. So it's actually right here. So we've got it shared out. Everybody will be able to access it at marfooglenews.com, and I'm sure the more curious people are, the more they will go over and actually watch this thing. So just so you know, everyone is now talking about this. You see it in the comments. You see it everywhere. So obviously, if you have not seen it yet, you need to. It's free to watch. There's really no reason not to. Well, thank you, Amanda, and I'm glad that it hit you, and now I need to catch up. So,
all right. Well, enjoy it. Well, not enjoy because it's mind blowing, but yeah.
It's like a car crash. You can't look away, but you don't want to see it. Yeah, I
exactly.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Amanda, and I appreciate the suggestion. And again, that is over on the website right now. It is actually already there. So make sure to go over and check this out, the premiere and everything else. This is why it is so important. We add these live to the website, so it is now there as we speak. All right. Thank you, Amanda, and I appreciate you, and you have a wonderful night, okay? All right. It looks like dropped. Okay. All right. And then that was Amanda. Her suggestions are all over on the website, including the water. Watch the water. We have Dr. Brian, and the artist reveals origins of the All right. And then we have Taiwan issues wartime survival book. So I've already talked about how they've already gotten approved, and I believe have already started placing mines out in their waters, which is a step that you usually take right before something happens. I don't know if this documentary is going to change what my views are of this situation, but I feel, just my feelings in my gut says that this is going to happen soon. Also, the fact that the president is essentially saying that we're going to be a whole made in America country. Like, basically, he's getting ahead of it. Like, this is a good thing. We'll be making it in our country again, and we're going to make everything in America. Usually that happens when you're in a huge conflict, like a WW3, and your adversary is no longer making 90% of your crap. I don't know. Take a guess on that for yourself. Why are we all of a sudden announcing in the same gesture he did that? He's saying, "Oh, and Intel is here. Come on up. Intel's going to be making a semiconductor chip factory here in the United States." Why? Is that because Taiwan's going to be under control of you know who? Where the most of the world's semiconductor chips, which are used in literally everything, is made in Taiwan. It says that the CCP has never controlled self-ruled Taiwan, but it nonetheless views it, the island, as part of its territory and has vowed to one day seize it by force if necessary. Those threats have turned more bellicose under Xi, China's most authoritarian leader in a generation. And then, of course, Vlad's recent invasion of UKR has also heightened fears that Xi might one day follow through on the threats to annex its smaller neighbor. Now, at the same time this is going down, their official mouthpieces and their newspapers are saying they firmly believe, and they are going to act on it, they believe that we cannot fight a two-front conflict. In fact, they say we can't even fight a one-front conflict, yet let alone a two. And they're talking about not only us here in the U.S., but saying the allies do not have the power to actually battle them and them at the same time, which may explain why Vlad has been sending in drafted people. Why would they even need to draft? Have you ever thought about that? Why would they need to draft more people? Do you think that they just went through their entire military already? Or do you think they're saving their entire military for the main fight? Like the big fight, not UKR where they're fighting people in villages. That's like if 1 month into, any of our conflicts, we started drafting people from the United States. Did we just lose our entire military force? No. They're putting 19th century rifles and conscripts and drafted people on the front lines with old gear and old tanks and everything else. And people are believing that they don't have modern tanks, modern gear. In fact, we even had the caller say that they don't even have the proper plating on the tanks and things. And like it's almost like they pulled stuff out of the museum to just charge forward and get destroyed. Maybe they are expecting a bigger fight with the U.S. and allies. Don't know, but it seems like we are at the edge of a cliff. And I think most people don't want to think about it. They want to think it's taboo. They want to think it's fear-mongering. They want to think it's war-mongering. At the same time, most of us, this is what we are purposely looking down this road. And we do, most of us are kind of past that. Like, this is happening. Something is happening right now, and it's bad. So maybe a great distraction is coming. Maybe something else that will really take us out. I don't know. Maybe some of the alternative people are creating something to distract everybody from what's really about to happen. We don't know. And then just to go in it says the 28-page guide contains information which the general public can use as an emergency response guideline in a military crisis or a natural disaster. It's the first time Taiwan's military has published such a handbook. Drawn from similar guides by Sweden and Japan, it tells residents where to find the shelters, the boom shelters, via mobile phone apps, and what to do in an emergency, including how to distinguish air raid sirens. The guide is for the public to better prepare themselves before a conflict or disaster happens. What do you think they think is about to happen? It includes information on basic survival skills for the public during air raids, massive fires, building collapses, power outages, and natural disasters. It says, we hope the public can familiarize themselves where safety shelters are beforehand, he added. They're expecting China to take Taiwan. This should be a huge wake-up call. I hope people share this out with their friends and family. This will mean bigger things are happening. And this will mean U.S. will get involved in some way. If they don't, I don't know what the hell is going on with this planet. U.S. carriers deploy off of the Korean Peninsula amid fears of new nuke test. So why? Why for a test, right? It says U.S. carrier strike group has been deployed off of the Korean Peninsula for the first time in 5 years as tensions grow between the North and South over Pyongyang's latest run of missile launches. And American officials fear an underground nuclear test by the totalitarian regime. The Navy confirmed on Tuesday that the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, along with 9 air squadrons, the U.S. Mobile Bay Missile Cruiser, and Destroyer Squadron 21, was conducting routine bilateral operations with Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force in the Sea of Japan. South Korea's defense ministry has said that they are aware of the deployment. The USS Lincoln was initially deployed from San Diego and led an air demonstration in the Yellow Sea last month in response to the recent intercontinental ballistic missile tests launched by NK. They said the ICBM launches of the DPRK are a brazen violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions as well as international commitments and pose a threat to regional neighbors and the international community. That was what the Navy said in a statement using NK's official acronym. It says, we have made clear our growing concern over the significant increase in DPRK's missile testing, and we will continue to take all necessary measures to ensure the security of the United States and our allies. Now, remember the Hawaii incident where we had a false alarm where the guy pushed the wrong button and it changed to, oh, well, there's not an actual button. It's a drop-down menu that says, hey, confirm. And then it says another drop-down menu. It says, hey, confirm. And then it does another one, hey, confirm. And then the story changed. And then it went to, well, I thought it was real. And actually, we all thought it was real because we were told it was real. And then it wasn't. And then he got fired / not fired / moved sideways and actually got kind of a promotion. Meanwhile, people in Hawaii dropped their kids in manhole covers. People punched people off of motorcycles, stole motorcycles, and drove across island like they were going to escape. Comedians like Jim Carrey said that their lives were changed in a single day because they thought they were going to die. In fact, there's even a VR virtual reality experience that just came out on that, which, Dex, I forgot to tell you about this. Virtual reality experience just came out where you relive the morning of that day in 2018, where you wake up and you think it has real radio, real TV, real cell phone alerts, the real things that people were saying, and recorded audio from everybody's reaction saying, oh my God, we're going to die. So think about that. When I think about this, I think, was that a false alarm? Or was that real? Was that something else? Was that something that was covered up? Don't know. And then Team JB scrambles to respond to the claims of Vlad chemical weapon use. It says the administration has said that chemical weapons used in UKR would trigger a proportional U.S. response. Its pledge may soon be tested. It says alleged and unconfirmed claims of chemicals used by Vlad in UKR has forced a scramble inside the White House to match JB's promise of an in-kind response while avoiding further escalation of a conflict. Dex, now it looks like, again, if you do want to call in, the number is 224-400-MARF. Okay, so it looks like we're actually having phone issues. So, Dex, if you want to just pop in, love to get you on this and talk to you about this alleged thing. So we're actually, it looks like our line is down. So that's like the third time in like 6 months that we've had issues. I wish that didn't happen. Either way, so Dex, that means you can pop in. So what's going on with this? The alleged and unconfirmed claims of the use. So when he said that we have to use the same thing, It's like,
right. Well, I think it was kind of a crazy statement to say we would respond like kind. Of course, everyone immediately said, "What do you mean? We're if they use something that's illegal, we're going to use something that's illegal."
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not what he meant, but that's what he said, right? But nonetheless, the notion that we would respond like that, in other words, that would be a line. If that line was crossed, then we would do something, right? And I don't think he necessarily meant we would do the same thing that they did, but we would do something equivalent based on what they did. So now that this story has come out, whether it's right or not, I guess we'll have to find out eventually. But if it's right, at least from the West's point of view, well, now he's sort of, what's he going to do with his statement? He said that we would respond. That would be the thing that would draw NATO in, right? If that happened, then this would be the big deal that would require our response. So the question now comes, well, is it true? And if it is true, then what's your response? Otherwise, is it not true?
Yeah. So how are they going to do a proportional response? That's the word they keep using. We will see. It says, echoing President B's repeated position of not wanting to spark WW3. And by the way, isn't it crazy that our actual president is saying almost on a daily basis, no, we're not doing that. That's WW3. So the only difference between what we are in right now and WW3 is just us physically acting. Once we act in this thing, it's WW3. They are basically saying that we are this close to WW3. Whether that's true or not, that's what they're saying right now. In history, how many times has WW3 been mentioned in just the last few months? Saying that if we are involved, that is actual WW3. And then now it looks like Xi is going to take Taiwan. I mean, this is huge. They're setting up as if it's already done. They're setting up making semiconductor factories here. They're setting us up, telling us that everything is going to be made in the U.S. Well, no duh. Especially if the people that are making it now are in a conflict with you. They're not going to keep sending you goods. In fact, if you get anything from over there right now and you are currently, you might want to stock up on it because those outlets may go away. Those companies that you go through may not be around. Or at least they'll be around, but they won't be for us. Simply Pony, thank you for the support. And then Dex, if you would like to go over the energy solar generator, I actually need to fix the cord here and see if I can fix anything on my end.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in the market to keep your power on when the power turns off, this is a product for you to consider. And go take a look. It is at marfooglenews.com/energy. That's spelled I, like energy, but with an I, I-N-E-R-G-Y. This is a solar generator. And the great thing about solar generators is they're quiet. They're rechargeable from the sun, right? So you can use solar panels to charge them up. So when the power grid is down or you're out off grid somewhere or you go camping, you've got electricity. You can bring power with you. This is a very portable system. It's also modular. That's the greatest thing about it. So the technology is so cool. You can stack multiple batteries if you're at home and you have a bug out location and you want to power that up and you need X number of batteries to support the power demand you want. No problem. You can build that. If you want to take the head unit off and grab a battery and go on the road with it because you need to go somewhere, not a problem. Take it apart and pull that one thing with you and put one battery on it. It's completely modular. The other nice thing is the speed at which you can charge this. With 4 panels, you can charge this relatively fast. And not only that, you can add up to 3 different arrays of panels, and you can even add superchargers. That's what's so awesome about this solar generator, is that it is so modular, it is so expandable. You can basically design anything you possibly want for your power needs, and it supports EMP shield, so you can get an EMP shield module to plug into it that'll protect both your AC side and your DC or solar side of the equation. So if you want to learn more, head over to our website, go to marfooglenews.com/energy. It is very much in high demand, so there is a little bit of a waiting period, so make sure to get your name on that list right away. If you want to get one of these, you're going to love it. I can't wait till I get mine. I'm on the list too.
All right, thank you. And again, my whole show is powered by energy. Everything you see here, my 2 power bars, my lights, my music gear is all powered by solar now. So it's pretty awesome. It's incredible system. So if you haven't gone and checked it out, make sure to go do so. Thank you, Dex. And then going into that's really that's crappy that the phone is now down again. That's the internet, though. That's the Internet of Things, and everything that we rely on could just fall apart very quickly. This is apparently, in fact, Dex, I'll have you go over this. The Anonymous leaks 776 gigabytes. We talked about this previously, and now apparently, it's something went down here.
Yeah, so they're on a roll. Like they're hitting database after database apparently. So now they're apparently bringing out another set of data. I don't know what exactly is in here. We've yet to hear that the smoking bang bang was found in the last set, but apparently they're going in, grabbing data from the banks, grabbing data from DoD, in this case getting data from and when I say DoD, I mean their equivalent. This is coming from the Ministry of Culture. So it has the oversight of censorship, of archives, and of art. So you could imagine there might be some really interesting bits of information in here that may be not revealed to the public, either in the bear country or even to the world. So we'll have to find out, I guess. As this stuff gets leaked, of course, it gets published, and then these are massive troves of data, so people have to spend hours and hours going through them. And if you're like me and I went through them, I couldn't understand any of it because I don't speak the language, so I'd have to translate, right? And it would just take forever. So I imagine there's other people out there that are going to do a lot of digging and figuring out if there's anything there. But this is yet another. We've heard of this a few different times. We've heard of other types of cyber events happening. And I always question, like, who's behind this? Like, we know in this case who it is in the sense that they have a name, but we don't really know who's behind the keyboards behind the name, right? And of course, a lot of these operations may be behind the scenes state-sponsored, but not publicly state-sponsored. So we may never really know who is behind this, but it wouldn't be surprising if there wasn't state sponsorships behind any one of these types of cyber events from any side. Because that's just the way, that's part of the conflict game now, right?
Yep. And as far as anonymous, it's anyone and everyone. I mean, literally, that's their motto. I mean, the person on the bus next to you could be anonymous. So we don't know, or it could be the CIA agent or the KGB or the whatever, blah, blah. It could be anybody. Or it could be Vlad's government purposely releasing it because they're reverse psychology and they have something in there that they want you to think, but it's, who knows? We don't know. Simply Pony, again, thank you. And then a few people, really big thank you to everybody over on DLive. Alma Kelly, Jay Scorpio, Meatpulpa007, so thanks for sharing the On the Water video. Mods, thank you and thumbs up. My EMP shield worked the other night. Power went out. Bling on Granny, I'm glad that you, and I hope, we've already had people that had lightning strikes, and so that's really cool. People don't think about that. That's an added in kind of benefit of that protection. Nick 52182, thank you so much. Moxie 71, Cat 02, and Aaron for USA, thank you for following. Welcome to the Marfia over on DLive. Princess Heiny Pants, that's a great name. Michelle K, the Unreal Steve Martin, thank you for being here. And Vicky K, thank you for gifting out badges to folks over on DLive. Also, Guardians of the Looking Glass said FF on April 18th. April 18th. Wow, that's crazy. It is already April. It's just so nuts how fast time is going. All right, and then big thank you to Keith Starr with 2 A's. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. And then Kara Fuse says, Marf, found you another doppelganger. The Singing of Portugal, the man. The Singer of Portugal, You have to send me a picture of him. Everyone thank our mod JStone78. Worked hard tonight, says Bible Talk 777. Bible Talk, thank you for using your time and your space there to thank somebody else and to push somebody else up. And then Jason Ames, Stephen McMahon, leaving for work. God bless you all. Stay safe. Simply Pony, and everybody else that popped in, including Paul Mark DeSantis. Again, I don't believe I've seen that on that list, so thank you. Appreciate that. And then Dex, we have a web-only content that is just kind of insane here.
Yeah, we certainly do. So one thing that happened, and this happened in my state and happened today, and I was kind of shocked. I mean, I knew it was coming. I was just sort of waiting, like, when are they going to do this? So a new bill was passed in the state of Georgia. Now half of all states in America, we are now the 25th, allow for what's called constitutional, and that includes the word carry. And it's something you can now do with your bang bang. So it was a big deal. It actually happened down the street. I didn't even realize it was in my neighborhood, but not my neighborhood, but at the town next door. So that's on there. There's plenty of other news that we can't cover, things that are just too hot for TV or too far to one side or whatnot. Find out what's going on with Whoopi. Find out what happened with the lieutenant governor. If you haven't heard, he's no longer the lieutenant governor of New York. So go to our website, go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, open that description link on YouTube and click on show notes. It'll take you right here. Remember what happened down at the border with the guys on horses? Well, that's been updated as well. And now there's a town in, I think it's in LA. There's a neighborhood in LA. The mail no longer delivers there. Want to know why? Go to marfooglenews.com. Click on that thumbnail. You can find out all this and much more right there on our website. We put this together every day, including as much other information as we can share with you so you can get it all in one place.
Thank you, Dex, and thank you everybody else, including our wonderful mods. And Simply Pony says sub to Donut Factory. I agree on that. Donut is an awesome guy. He is really, really freaking smart, and I love the way that he looks at things. He's got a bunch of great content. That's Donut, DOENUT Factory. If you guys haven't checked out Donut, again, with all the great suggestions tonight, make sure to go check him out as well. He's definitely I don't know how to. I don't know. He's like I don't know how to. Wouldn't. It's like he's like a FU kind of guy to his how he puts the stories together. You just got to go see for yourself. I think he's and he looks at the numbers. He's got a good kind of balance of. He looks at the symbology and the numbers and this and that. He really is very entertaining as far as the way he looks at things, and then his information is spot on. So make sure to go check him out. And then thank you, Simply Pony, and then everybody, and then Tony Simply. I appreciate you as well. All the Simply and Timplies and Tomply and Pomplies. All right, guys, it is the end of the night. Thank you for all of our callers. They were all absolutely wonderful. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter. Remember, Marfoogle News at Marfoogle. Just the one word at Marfoogle, and you'll find me on Twitter. Again, almost to 27,000 followers. Thank you, everybody, for going over there and following. I appreciate you so much. And that is where we also send out daily notifications of our show. It's a very, very accurate place. And the videos of the Shanghai residents is there. So make sure to go over and check it out. Thank you. And then we're going to start trying to put videos there that basically we can share them over there as well as the website. So thank you and love you guys. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.